question.
I want to know if you believe the UK is sleepwalking into fascism.
This lies and deception we've been told, and I'm a Christian. I believe in the Bible.
Okay, all right.
Biblically speaking, there will be the mark of the beast coming soon.
What's the mark of the beast, brother?
The Bible says how the mark of the beast is more of it's a mark on people's forehead or right.
Okay,
Forehead,
right.
which is run as a Christian. I believe it's run by the devil and the evil forces.
Okay.
And if you take that, then there's no more salvation for humankind.
So do you think that currently in British government it's actually infiltrated and run by the devil? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. The whole
Right.
world. The whole
Okay.
world. It's the World Economic Forum, World Health Organization. They don't have borders.
Right. I
That's
like
called World
yeah.
United Nations. There's no borders. China,
Right.
Russia, UK, US.
We're all ran by one hegemonic force, one power. What it's a centralized system that runs every economy, every society, every so-called democracy, monarchy, any place around the world is governed by WEF, yeah, and essentially the devil,
I mean,
yeah.
There's more like this.
Welcome back to the Wandering Wave Slave. In that direction there is Albert Bridge. Over there, I guess it's like Gloucester Road and Kensington and all of those places. And I believe in this area, people are going to be a lot more shy, reserved, because there is this unspoken social code people abide by, this sort of bourgeois culture, middle class culture. Now, maybe I'm being judgmental, but this area would be one of the most expensive postcodes in the world, so I highly doubt people around here are going to be as vibrant and talkative as people in areas like Hounslow and Feltham, which is areas that I visited recently on my channel. Hello mate, can I ask you a question for YouTube? Do you think the UK is descending into fascism? Yes or no? Alright, take care brother, have a good day, yeah? Excuse me, you look like an intelligent person. Can I get a question for YouTube? Just one question, yeah? Mate, can I get a question for YouTube? You're in a rush? Have a good day, yeah? Take care, brother. The question is, do you think the UK is sleepwalking into fascism? Don't know about that, yeah? Take care, brother. Have a good one, yeah? Hello, brother. Can I ask you a question for YouTube? Do you think the UK is sleepwalking into fascism?
Into fascism?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a tough question.
Is it?
I hope not.
You hope not?
I really hope not.
Right.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
Could you elaborate on why you don't think so?
Because I think, so I did politics for my degree, right? So
you study politics, yeah?
Yeah, I just
amazing, bro. Cool.
So I think we have like enough sort of democratic institutions and accountability in terms of our institutions that we're probably not going to end up in a state of like 1930s Germany and stuff.
Sure,
like
maybe
fascism, right? But obviously, there are a lot of worrying things going on in the world and in Britain at the moment, so who knows?
Well, okay, many people are of the belief the UK is sleepwalking into fascism because of neoliberal policy making, such as like, the centre-left government that we've got in Parliament at the moment. They're sort of selling off public institutions, but also making cuts to welfare and increasing military spending. Some people say that this is laying the groundwork for fascism, and neoliberalism lays the foundation for fascism.
Well, if you don't mind me sort of being a bit sort of, I agree with something you said, but also I'd say that the government is doing, I think it's best to defend fascism in Europe against Russia, right? So
fascism in Europe,
as in doing its best to defend against fascism.
Oh sure, right, okay.
More military spending for Ukraine to stop,
right,
and there's a lot of bad things going on.
Sure.
Potentially lots of weaknesses and vulnerabilities about the current government, right? I think they're doing a pretty good job in terms of standing together with European democracies against fascism,
right?
Especially in Ukraine against Russia.
Yeah.
So I won't take up too much of your time.
No, bro, please talk. That's an amazing perspective. Obviously, you've got something more to say than the average person, yeah. But where this question really comes from, I suppose, is more sociological than political, because I'm of the belief that the UK and hyper-modern societies in general, we are becoming a country of docile, passive conformists that are ruled over by social media, elites, corporations, and we are inhabited by individuals that let an algorithm think for them rather than being able to think critically and independently themselves. What would you say to that?
Oh, that's a whole lot. But I mean, I sort of, I'm not necessarily sure I agree 100%. Like,
okay, that's
your,
great.
Like, fundamental beliefs, right?
Yeah.
But in terms of the stuff about conformity,
yeah,
and people conforming and lack of maybe thinking through, I don't know, potential sort of personal beliefs, political beliefs, I think that's fair enough. I think I'd like to, obviously people are busy and people have priorities in their lives, but I'd like to see maybe people be slightly more aware generally of what's going on. And that's not necessarily from like, they have to have this political opinion or that political opinion. There's
sure.
Sort of, a bit more understanding of like, I don't know, how government works, how policy works, and
sure.
what's going on in the world.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. You want more awareness and consciousness, is what you're saying,
well, I'm not trying to, force people. I don't think like. So in Australia, they force people to vote, right? I don't think that.
Do they not do that here? No, they don't. You're forced to register, but not forced to vote.
I think you're forced to register.
I thought it was, yeah. Like I just remember I had a council flat in Hampton, and they were knocking around and that, like, and they were saying that. But that was years ago. That was like 6 or 7 years ago. So maybe policies changed. But I thought. And maybe you can correct me, I think you'd know more than me anyway, that you are forced to register but not actually to drop a vote. I don't actually vote. I'm an anarchist, and I don't vote out of sort of civil disobedience rather than not being politically aware. I was a leftist before. Some might say, oh, anarchism is of the left. I'm an anarchist primarily because I think anarchism is the furthest away from ideology a person can get to, and so many people disagree with that. Everyone says, oh, anarchism is an ideology. I look at anarchism as being the antithesis of ideology. Ideology is a structure. Anarchism is like post-structuralism in a sense, No,
that's fair enough. Actually, I studied anarchism a little bit at school.
Hello mate, excuse me, sorry for disturbing. Just wondering if I could ask you a quick question for YouTube. Political question. Have a good day, yeah? Can I ask you guys a question for YouTube? Sorry to disturb you. Have a good day, yeah? Enjoy your run. Yeah? Do you think the UK is sleepwalking into a fascist autocracy?
To be honest with you, as a young person growing up, I don't really pay attention to much politics
Okay,
anymore.
alright. Right, well that could be part of it, sleepwalking into fascism, yeah?
Partially.
Yeah?
Then I've moved around all Europe as a child.
Right.
And for me, London, that's fine.
London's fine, yeah? It's a good place to live. You're from around here, yeah?
Well, I live around here, but I'm from South East London.
South East? Are you more working class?
Yeah.
That's why you're more open to talk to me, because most of these people, no offense to them, they seem a bit more bourgeois, and there's a like sort of social code. They don't really want to talk or be open, but more working class people from other areas of London, they seem a bit more open to talk to me. Yeah. All right, another question. Yeah. All right, I'm of the belief the UK is becoming a docile, passive society ruled over by social media, elites and corporations, inhabited by individuals that let an algorithm think for them rather than being able to think independently or critically or authentically themselves. Would you agree or disagree with that?
Like I said, I don't really necessarily pay attention to it
No?
too much, so
Could you be one of those people then?
who knows?
Who knows, yeah, who knows? Can I ask you a question for YouTube?
Sure.
Yeah? I want to know,
about.
where are you from?
Germany.
Perfect. Do you think the UK and the world in general is sleepwalking into fascism?
The whole world?
Yeah.
You think I'm good? I'm suited for the question because I'm German?
No, I'm asking this to everyone, but yeah, kind of.
This is a bit offensive.
I do. Therefore, I do apologise, brother.
No,
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah?
It's just a joke.
No, I can actually.
Well, I don't think so. I think depends on the people.
All right.
Everyone can have his own opinion on things.
Yeah. Okay.
And we shouldn't let our minds lead by what governments and what countries think and what countries make out of situations. so everyone should just do it. As that.
Do you live in the UK?
Yeah, I live here, study here.
What do you study?
Film actually.
Oh, right. Well, you can help me for my YouTube channel. I'm trying to pace a good, Well, I'm of the belief that the UK and most modern or hyper-modern societies now are inhabited by docile conformists, ruled over by social media, elites and corporations who allow or let algorithms think for them rather than being able to think critically and independently themselves. What do you think? Agree or disagree?
I agree on this. What I'm just saying, we should try to separate from governments and people within the country.
All right,
So,
sure.
I agree on what you said.
Yeah.
If I speak for myself, I would try to avoid letting other opinions and letting like the things you mentioned influence my thoughts and my actions.
So you are against algorithms sort of influencing the way people think, decisions that people make and so on. You're trying to push for a more authentic, independent.
It's hard to generalize it.
Yeah. All right. Fair comment, bro.
I think there are a few things where algorithms can be helpful.
Yeah.
For society,
for
technology or whatever.
Yeah.
But I have an arts background, so I think especially with the arts background, you should have the individual
freedom. I totally agree. Yeah, bro. Aaron. Yeah. Nice to meet you, brother. Yeah. Ollie. Yeah. Take care. Yeah. All right. Huh?
Can I be doing YouTube? I'm famous.
You want me to ask you a question?
Yeah, ask me. Yeah.
What's your name?
SK.
On YouTube. What's your name?
I'm a YouTuber.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Go on sk.com.
SK. All right, bro. Do you think the UK is sleepwalking into fascism?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Of course, you can sleep in.
Why do you say that, brother?
Everyone's sleeping in the UK, bro.
Huh?
Everyone's sleeping there. No one active in there.
No, everyone's sleeping in the UK, yeah? Right. Okay.
Very bad.
Very bad, you think, yeah? Yeah. What makes you say that, though? What could you elaborate more?
Well, it's UK.
Yeah.
It's United Kingdom.
Right.
It's United Kingdom. Everyone is dead. No one is active.
Right. Sure.
UK, United Kingdom need to work. Go home.
I'm of the belief that the UK is a docile conformist country, right? Ruled over by social media, elites and corporations, inhabited by individuals that let an algorithm think for them rather than being able to think independently or critically themselves. Would you agree or disagree with that?
I agree with that.
You do, yeah?
I do agree.
All right, brother.
Man,
hey, show me your YouTube channel, bro.
Thank you, mate. Thank you.
SK, yeah? SK. Give me a shout out then, yeah? The Wandering Wage Slave. Safe, bro. Have a good day, yeah? Well, that might be him there. Excuse me, can I ask you a question for YouTube? Sure. Do you think the UK is sleepwalking into fascism? Maybe. Why do you say maybe? Oh, sorry.
I don't really have a complex answer for you.
No?
I've got to rush off to dinner, but maybe.
Good luck. Okay, one last question then, yeah, and I'll let you rush off to dinner. I'm of the belief the UK is becoming a docile, passive, conformist society ruled over by social media, elites and corporations, inhabited by individuals that let algorithms think for them rather than being able to think independently and critically themselves. Would you agree or disagree with that?
I think I would agree. I think a lot of institutions have lost their compassion for other people.
Okay.
And it's just
You say institutions have lost compassion. Do you think individuals also have lost compassion?
Working within those institutions.
Yeah.
I mean, a really good example is a lot of public services.
Okay.
Local councils.
Yeah.
Some parts of the NHS.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you think that you know what neoliberalism is? it's like capitalism, free market capitalism, privatizing and buying public owned assets and, you know, essentially making them private. Like, for example, Keir Starmer selling off the NHS. Do you think that that is creating fertile grounds for maybe like more fascism or just less compassion in society in general?
I don't think it will help.
Right, sure.
But I'm not sure what will help.
I'm asking people, is the UK sleepwalking into fascism? It's already there, you think? You think this is a fascist country already? Right, could you elaborate?
Well, it's easier to keep people. You have to have them fear.
Okay, sure.
Each other.
Right,
So
and that's what.
Control. Divide and rule, mate.
Divide and rule. Where are you from, brother?
Iranian originally. The economic situation in Europe, and it's not doing as well. It's
sure.
They've been milking it too long.
Yeah.
Now it's time to answer back, and they can't have it.
Do you agree? Disagree? Probably agree, yeah. My last question is, do you think that the world is becoming more passive, docile, conformist, being ruled over by social media, elites and corporations? And do you think individuals let algorithms think for them rather than being able to think critically, authentically themselves? That's a big question, eh?
That was a big question.
Yeah.
But the question and the answer already. This
I
is
think
what's going on.
I think
right.
We controlled quite a lot by the media. Unfortunately, the education system has been rigged for many years.
Okay.
And raised us to people that just have to follow the crowd.
Right.
It's much easier to control.
Yeah.
You can't turn the clock back.
Right. Okay.
Fight it, unfortunately. It's done.
Wow.
The game is just to enjoy your time as well as you can.
You're saying that we're powerless now, is what you're saying, yeah?
More or less, yeah.
The foundations have been.
It's unfortunate. We can try.
Yeah.
For our own sanity to try to raise our voices as much as we can, but then basically bang your head against the
Right. Would I be able to ask you a question for YouTube? Just a quick question. I want to know if you believe the UK is sleepwalking into fascism.
Yeah, sure.
Really? You do?
Yeah. I know they are. So, yeah.
Could you elaborate on that? And what would be your definition of fascism, if that would be okay?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's a side, yeah?
Yeah, sure. It's rolling, yeah.
Well, I think it's really got exposed from 2020.
Okay.
With all the agenda.
Right.
I don't know if you know about World Economic Forum. And
WEF, yeah.
Boris Johnson and Donald Trump, they're not running the country.
Right.
Is another
hidden power.
They call it the shadow government.
Right.
Running the world, and it's behind World Economic Forum where unelected bureaucrats are going there and they're doing stuff.
Okay.
And then the prime ministers, they come and they implement it as if it's the national policy, but
they
never talk to us. They never took our opinions. They just do what they want. So it was prior 2020, but more, including me, I was asleep. But 2020 woke us up. COVID was a lie, and
so under your sort of perspective, you think that we live with the illusion of democracy currently. We're already in a fascist autocracy, but we have this sort of illusion shielding us from that, and that's why a lot of people are unconscious or not awake really to like the real powers such as the WEF.
Yeah, sure. I mean, as soon as you speak up, there's no more democracy.
Right.
As soon as you challenge the authorities, that's when they say, "Oh, okay, you're a fascist, you're right wing," or whatever they label you as, conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
But we know what conspiracy theorist is. It's actually a spoiler alert.
Yeah.
What they're about to do. So,
You guys want to talk for YouTube in a minute? You sure? Yeah. All right. Have a good day. Yeah.
So
Sorry.
People need to wake up from this lies and deception we've been told, and I'm a Christian. I believe in the Bible.
Okay, all right.
Biblically speaking, there will be the mark of the beast coming soon.
What's the mark of the beast, brother?
The Bible says how the mark of the beast is more of a mark on people's forehead or right.
Okay.
Forehead.
Right.
So it's more of an allegiance you give to. Consciously, it's not subconscious.
Okay.
To the government, to the authorities, which is run as a Christian, I believe it's run by the devil and the evil forces.
Okay.
And if you take that, then there's no more salvation for humankind.
So do you think that currently in British government it's actually infiltrated and run by the devil? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. The whole
right.
world. The whole
okay.
world. It's the World Economic Forum, World Health Organization. They don't have borders.
Right. I
like
like
called World.
Yeah.
United Nations. There's no borders. Just
right.
China, Russia, UK, US.
We're all ran by one hegemonic force, one power. What it is a centralized system that runs every economy, every society, every so-called democracy, monarchy, any place around the world is governed by WEF, yeah, and essentially the devil, yeah.
There's more. Like there's the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds.
That's going way back, yeah. Right, sure. But, I mean, those are some very powerful corporations. I don't even know what you'd call that, BlackRock and Vanguard. Actually, that's something I'm sort of learning about now. But that is actually like what are they? They're like the biggest private equity firm or something.
Then they financial control,
right,
and equities and just controlling the financial destiny of nations.
Okay, all right.
They have different cobwebs.
Yeah.
And Vanguard and BlackRock are more to do with that.
All right, all right.
They're running McDonald's and all the franchise.
Yeah, they I guess in a sense they have the most assets, maybe, right? Like public-private assets. They essentially own.
Exactly. Exactly that.
Right.
And again, no borders.
Yeah.
So, I mean. It's lovely talking to you.
Yeah, thank you, brother.
Fresh air to know people are waking up.
I have to ask, do you live around here? Because it seems
I
like
live in Sloane Square.
right, because it seems that people around here, they have this sort of bourgeois culture. They're not really open to talking on camera. You go to more working class areas, people are more open and willing to sort of share an opinion. Here, people are a lot more regulated in a sense. They don't want to talk to people on camera. They're sort of fearful of it, but you seem quite open. A few people seem open, but like those lads that went down there, I don't think they'd want to talk on camera. They're
it's just it's mainly the British culture,
right,
but it's very shy but to be honest with you, in the lockdown period, the UK was top 16 countries where they were pushing back. There was a lot of protests and going on.
And 16
16 countries were listed that you can just go into these countries without having to take the COVID jab. UK was one of them because of the pushback. Right. There's a lot of pushback. So when you push people in the UK, they will stand up.
You're saying that the UK British people are capable of resistance. They're not completely passive and docile, and the COVID pandemic showed that people were willing to sort of take a stand and say, fuck this is not the new normal.
To many protests, and there was like millions of people. The BBC was saying thousands. I was there with my own eyes. I saw everything.
So, sure.
Even the hospitals, they were empty. I went to 11 different hospitals.
Right. It
was such a lie. I could not believe my eyes anymore.
Yeah. The thing that got me about COVID, and I think even post-COVID, the era that we sort of live in now, is it feels like social media, governments, whatever, the general population, it wants to suppress skepticism. If you show any skepticism towards the mainstream narrative or idea, you're shut down, and like it could be anything really, like it could be, like we went from living in a society of choice to a society of dogmatic beliefs, right? Science became very dogmatic. If you get the vaccine, you're an intelligent person, and if you don't, you're not an intelligent person. You weren't allowed to be skeptical, and I think that skepticism is at the heart of critical thinking, and it was quite sad actually to sort of be shut out like that. You weren't allowed to be skeptical, like if you had any reservations or preservations about the vaccine, you were just told that you were an idiot, a conspiracy theorist, a fascist, a right-winger, like you said before. And that feels like we still live in that era now where critical thinking's being shut down, skepticism is being shut down. You're not allowed to be skeptical at all.
And that's not free speech.
Nah.
I need to be free to say what I want to say without having to cause violence and everything.
Right.
But I want to be free to express my opinions.
Right.
But of course, in the lockdown period, they were partying, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the elites were,
Boris Johnson, and then later on, after 2-3 years, once the damage is done,
they
got exposed.
Right.
Doing this, and then they start saying the vaccine can have rare side effects, all this rare.
Yeah.
Take the word rare out.
Yeah.
There's so many. I've got other 2 people in my family that died a week later taking the Pfizer and the Moderna fake vaccines. Yeah.
Right.
So
I'm sorry about that.
Rare.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's not rare. It's people it's happening.
Right. Okay.
Like,
sure.
There's 1 in 100,000 chance of you getting some side effects taking this jab.
Okay.
And to drive a car, there's 1 in 1 million chance of you getting into a crash.
Right. Okay.
But to do that, you have to take your theory test, you have to get a practical test, and pass the test.
Right.
With the vaccine, no test, just take it.
Yeah.
Doesn't add up.
Yeah. No. Absolutely.
You care more about me driving the car in your street
Yeah.
than my own health.
Yeah.
So this government is not for us.
Yeah. Social norms have been changed. Legislation now, it's like vaccine corporations, and as you say, the WEF and all these big corporations can now influence government and public policies, manipulating social norms essentially, and people just follow without question.
The Agenda 2030 is the next agenda they're trying to roll out. So they're trying to tighten up any loose screws from what happened in 2020.
Right.
So trying to bring more fascism and more legislation.
More control,
World Health Organization.
Right. So you're predicting 2030 is going to be the next big...
Document, in the document, it says you own nothing and be happy.
I did see that. Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
They're just trying to cover it up.
Right.
That's what they did leading up to 2020.
Yeah.
Bad.
Right. Yeah, sure.
They used China and Italy.
Yeah.
Yes, it's all fake. We need to wake up.
Yeah. My camera's gonna die, brother. So I'll let you go. Yeah.
What's your name?
Well, my name's Ollie, the Wandering Wage Slave on YouTube, and Owen Wandering. Yeah, the Wandering Wage Slave. Yeah. Yeah, brother. What was your name?
Daniel.
Daniel. Nice to meet you, bro. Have a good run. Yeah. Take care, brother. Thanks a lot.